So today I'm going to show you how to go about installing a 5-frame NUC. This is a pretty common NUC box that is used. Most likely when you get your 5 frames of bees, they're going to be in a box pretty similar to this. It opens up on the top. Sometimes there'll be some duct tape keeping it closed. You can see I don't have any bees in this right now. I'm just using this as an example to show you what to expect and how to install the 5 frames. Make sure that you've got your equipment all set up before you get your bees. Put your permanent box in the location that you're going to keep it, and just make sure you've got all your equipment ready to go. When you get home with your 5 frames of bees, you have a few options. Most likely this entrance is going to be closed for transportation. When you get home, you can set it on top of the permanent hive. Maybe put the block on top of it so that the lid doesn't come open, so the wind doesn't blow it away. You probably don't want to install the bees into the permanent hive right away because they've just been traveling. They're probably stirred up, maybe a little bit agitated. You want to leave them set, maybe 3 hours, maybe overnight. Give them a chance to calm down. One thing you're definitely going to want to do though is open this entrance once you get the box set down. That way your bees can start flying. It's typically there are a lot of bees in a 5-frame NUC box. It can get pretty hot. You don't want to try and keep them confined. You want to let them fly so that they can cool off and orient on the new location. This is how you open the entrance. Just take your hive tool, kind of pop the bottom up, and it bends out. You can fold it over a little bit. There's a little tab to stick that in so that the opening stays open and the bees can come and go on both sides. So again, you can put that box on top of the permanent hive, open it up, let the bees fly, walk away, leave them overnight, come back the next day and install the box, install the frames. Another option, you can take this box, put it in another location, and put your 5-frame NUC box right on the bottom board. Again, open up the entrance, let the bees fly. The bees are going to orient on this location with the entrance right there on the bottom board. So the next day when you install the permanent hive, the entrance is going to be in the exact same location. The bees that have been flying will come right back, have no problem finding the entrance to the hive. If you put the NUC box on top of the hive and let the bees fly, they're going to orient to the entrance a little bit higher. When they come back after you've installed them into the permanent location, they'll circle around, they'll find their way to the new entrance. So either way works. Setting the NUC box on the bottom board might be a little bit better, but either way will work. So now you're ready to install your NUC into the hive body, into the permanent location. Either you had it sitting on top of the hive or you had it sitting on the bottom board. Either way, you're ready to put the 5 frames into the permanent hive body. So take the NUC, set it off to the side. Take the cover off of your permanent hive. Take the inner cover off. This is not a typical inner cover. I've just been using a piece of plywood for an inner cover. So your NUC box is going to have 5 frames in it. Sometimes there are 4 with a feeder frame, but most likely it's 5 frames of bees. So I've got 5 frames in the permanent hive because you're going to end up with a total of 10. If you have drawn comb, you can use drawn comb. If you have just foundation, you can use foundation. Whatever you've got available. This is a plastic frame that's got the hexagon imprint, and it's coated with that wax, all plastic, ready to go. So I'm going to take 1 frame out of this hive to give myself a little bit of room, but you'll typically have 3 on one side, 2 on the other. It's nice to have a little bit extra space when you're transferring the frames in, so you don't roll the bees and injure any bees when you're putting the last frame in. You can see there's 5 frames: bees, brood, honey. Possibly one frame might be a feeder, or might be an empty undrawn frame. Just depends on who you get your bees from. So when you transfer these frames into the permanent location, you want to make sure that they stay in the same order that they were in the nuc box. So it helps by setting the nuc right alongside of the permanent hive. Start with the frame on one side, transfer it into the new box, take the next frame out of the nuc, put it in the new box, same location to the other frames that it was in the nuc. If it's a nice day, it's not cold out, you've got a little bit of time, you can look the frames over a little bit, check the bees, make sure that you've got some capped brood and some open brood, maybe see the queen, but it's definitely not necessary to look until you find the queen. If you see eggs and brood and capped brood, you know that the hive is set up good and looks like it's taken off. So once you got the 5 frames moved from the nuc into the permanent hive, you want to grab the 10th frame that you set off to the side, slide it in. So there's 2 new frames, 5 frames from the nuc, and 3 new frames on the other side. Most likely there's going to be a lot of bees on the bottom and sides of the original nuc box. So you'll want to pick that up, hold it over the hive, and shake the bees in. Or if you can't shake them in, you might want to bounce it on top a couple of times, knock all the bees in. Then you can take your empty nuc box, set it off to the side. Some of the stragglers in that box will eventually find their way into the entrance to the new permanent location. So now you can put your inner cover on, your outer cover on, close the hive up, maybe put a block on top of it so that the lid doesn't blow off. You can see that I've got an entrance reducer in this hive. This entrance reducer isn't quite long enough, so there's an extra block of wood filling up the gap. But it's a pretty good idea to put an entrance reducer on a 5-frame nuc. They're a little bit smaller. It's going to take them a little while to build up and be able to defend the entrance. So give them a little less entrance to defend, and they should be ready to go.